we have those scientific members, board members, advisory board members, such a long word, that come to our team, that come to Jeunesse, and basically, I'm going to try to position myself. Oh yes, thank you. Okay, that's perfect. And then, you know, we get attached to you guys, we get to know you, we become fans of the products that you create, and then you become a reference. So the question that I have, that a lot of people probably have, is how was the connection made between your talent, your creation, and your knowledge and Jeunesse? Can you let us know a little bit?
Sure. I mean, it's not by itself a Marvel story. It's not a Superman story. It's simply that when we launched the first stem cell product on the marketplace, so we go back maybe almost 15 years ago, at that moment, soon after, I started to work with Dr. Entar. So she was working with me on the initial product that we put on the marketplace. So as we developed the company and we moved forward, then she moved out, and then she joined Jeunesse, and then at some point I had a strong following, if you want, in Malaysia. A lot of people knew of what I had done in Malaysia, and so they went back to Jeunesse Malaysia and asked Jeunesse Malaysia, we have not had a new product in 5 years, so we want a new product, but that's the product we want. This product on stem cells. Because at the time, there were even billboards in Malaysia about the product that I had developed. So then they developed the formula, they started to work with the product, and when Dr. Entar heard about what Malaysia was doing, she basically said, stop, if you really want to do this product, I know the guy who developed the whole concept in these products, so you should at least talk to him. So as soon as we started to discuss, then they realized that it would have been, without going into the detail, it would have been a mistake to continue in the plans that they had then. So we kind of regrouped and really developed a product that could really fulfill the growth that we can know in Jeunesse. Otherwise, I mean, you need to understand, developing a product for Jeunesse is I won't say it's a difficult task, but we need to go beyond just the intellectual interest in the product. You need suppliers, you need vendors, you need a supply chain that can supply, you know, we're talking here hundreds of thousands of cartons per month. So it's much more involved. So it's at this level that quickly we realized that we had to really reconsider the whole approach. So we developed the product, and then I joined Jeunesse. What made me very interested in Jeunesse, and we may come back to that a little bit later, but I've been in the MLM industry for many years, for 20-some years. It's the only thing that I have known from the corporate side, always, but it's all that I have known MLM. And I have come to know a lot of the weaknesses of companies, the mistakes that can be done that make a company maybe stay for years, but never really becoming a big company. There are reasons why companies are successful or not. And when I started to look at what Jeunesse had, to me, they really had the ingredients for a successful company. And so we can come back to that later, but when I saw all of this, the opportunity that we have, then we basically joined our force together.
You connected. That's great. Wow, that's so interesting. And I will get back to your experience with the industry. I do have a question about that when I get to you next. And so, Calvin, you've been successful. You're successful here with Jeunesse. You have been successful with another company prior to Jeunesse. So this is your second life in this industry, and I want to know basically, what is your favorite thing about this industry? The one that made you go, oh, this is what I want to do with my life. We called it the aha moment, where you thought, I could be this, I could be that, I could do all kinds of things with my life, but I'm going to go in the MLM industry and I'm going to make this a career. What was that connection? When did that happen?
That's a good question. So first I wanted to say thank you for allowing me to speak into your lives tonight. I'm excited to be here in Montreal. The question actually makes me think a lot about the past 13 years I've been in network marketing. And it takes me back to before I was in network marketing, because I've always wanted to be a successful person. I grew up very, very poor in the projects, low-income housing community in Northern California with just my mom, my twin brother, and my little sister. My brother and I were the first ones to go to college, attend a university. We graduated. Our main goal was so we can get my mom out of the projects and buy her a house one day. That's why we worked so hard growing up. And we graduated at the top of our class from a private university in Southern California. And immediately we went to work. And I got involved in the real estate and mortgage banking industry. And I became very, very successful. But with my success came the downturn of the economy in the United States, the crash of the housing market, and I lost everything. And I realized very quickly that my income was determined on my economy, okay? And I lost everything. And that was at the right time in my life. I met my neighbor who shared with me this concept called network marketing. The idea of building a team of people who promote products, but not just here locally, but all around the world if you're in the right company. And I envisioned a lifestyle that I was used to having in real estate and mortgage, but that wasn't determined by a single economy, but that was determined by multiple economies. And when I went to work and built my network marketing business, it didn't happen overnight. You know, my business started in my own backyard, doing local meetings and local events like every single person in here has to do. My business started with just doing one-on-ones and trainings, but as I built my business on purpose, sponsoring people that didn't just look like me and my friends, but sponsoring people that looked like everyone's friends, right? Sponsoring people of different colors and races and religions and creeds. I began to notice that my business started spreading not just across state lines, but into other countries, across the oceans. And I realized that after 4 or 5 years of building this business, I was being paid 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And my aha moment was probably 4 years into my business where I really realized this, that I have a business that isn't dependent on a single economy like my last business. I wasn't afraid of it falling apart overnight. I wasn't afraid of something happening in my own country with the economy and losing everything like I did in real estate and mortgage. I had business that was running in more than 120 countries around the world in multiple economies. And when one was down, the others could be up. And when those ones are down, the others could be up. And I would never have to worry about that again. So that was the aha moment. I realized that I never want to do anything else in my life other than network marketing because of what it can truly provide for you.
Yeah. Wow. Well said. Wow. And that's the beauty of especially Jeunesse, like this industry altogether, but I think that the beauty with Jeunesse is that we are global and we're able to talk to people like you, being sitting here in Montreal, having an English meeting translated in Chinese, you know, who would have thought? And that's because we're global. That's because we're able to change lives around the world. And that makes us very powerful. And that's what you understood pretty quickly, the power of being global. Yes. And that the stability that it brings you, no matter what happens in the rest of the world, you can keep what you have built, pretty much. So that was great. Now, Christian, I have to say it in French. It's hard for me to say it in English, to look at a French person and say it in English. So now, people get to know you, they recognize you, and you're now a reference, especially for Jeunesse, but you are a reference in the industry, in the scientific industry, and also in our industry. So when people meet you, you know, in the street, they meet you, they say, hi, can I take your picture? And what is the question that comes around most of the time that people will ask you? I think that we talked about this earlier, and you told me that there's pretty much 2 questions that, you know, rise to the top all the time. Can you develop on that?
Sure. Well, the first one is, what's up? There's probably 2 questions that I can think of, and both of them are very humbling in a way. The first one is probably people coming and saying, how does it feel to have developed products that have such an impact in people's lives? And no, sorry, that's the second one. The first one that is probably more important is people coming and basically asking why, what is my motivation for doing all of this? What I mean by doing all of this, probably I started traveling and lecturing about stem cells and developing. At first it was with scientific meetings, then it started to be with the general population, general public. But I've done this maybe, I don't know, 200 to 230 days every year outside of the country, traveling internationally. So it's a lot of traveling. So what is the motivation for doing this? And I must say the motivation is, and you've started to experience this also in your own lives, because for a lot of you, it's also why you do this business. You know, when you have somebody coming to me or coming to you, I'm sure it's the same thing for you, and they share with you how what you have done for them has actually changed their lives. I mean, is there a salary that is bigger than that? You know, it's more pleasant than what you may receive as financial compensation. What you remember is not the check that you got in your bank. What you remember is this person who came telling you, thank you for what you've done for my dad, for my mom, or my uncle, because now, you know, now they have a second life. And I've heard this so many times, and really the motivation for me is hearing what impact these products can have in people's lives. So the flip side of this is that if you ever have a story like this, don't hesitate to share it. Send an email to Martine, she will share it with me. It's to me, it's very fulfilling to hear these stories. What does it do in people's life? And the second question, which is sort of the corollary to this, is that these products are based on a very novel concept in the field of science. It looks less novel today than it did 15 years ago, but it was 15 years ago a very, very novel concept based on what is the natural role of stem cells in the body. And many people, or the question comes oftentimes from this angle of how does it feel to have been the person who discovered all of that, who developed all of that? And probably the first answer is to understand it's nothing that I developed. It's something that is based on the work of dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of scientific teams. So if I did anything was to take all of that information and just look at it from a different angle, think about it differently, and then structure the concept. But at the end of the day, it is really the work of hundreds of people. And to me, it's an example that you're never successful by your own, even if it looks like you did it. If you just scratch the surface a little bit deeper, you've not done it. You're just the last piece of a chain with a lot of support behind you, and none of this would have been possible without a lot of work behind. So how do I feel? I just feel so humbled and lucky in a way that this whole thing fell on my lap, and it just I got the privilege of just pushing the idea forward and move with it. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. And to your point, there's nothing like the feeling of contribution. You know, whatever it is, no matter what it is, feeling like we contributed to something is so gratifying, and you can't put money on it, you can't put words on it sometimes. You just feel that you helped somebody, and because you helped somebody, it helps you. It helps us grow as we help others. I don't know, that's how I feel, and I think that's how you're describing it.
Yeah, what I mean is sorry. What I mean is that you just look at anything that you do in life, anything, whatever activity that you do. You go play golf, you play bowling, you go to dinner with whatever you do in your life. In all of this, the thing that really feeds you is how much you've contributed to how many smiles you generated in the day. That's really what feeds you. I mean, of course you need to have enough money to pay your mortgage and everything, but what really feeds you is how much you contributed to people's life. And that business is actually, your success is a reflection of how many lives you've changed. I mean, is there a more wonderful business than this? I don't think there is. And to me, that's what it is.
I will also develop on this, just because we don't have many guests, and so I will give you a corporate perspective. on how it feels to be on the other side. Today we had coffee, Calvin and I, this afternoon, and we were exchanging on our lives and getting to know each other. You know, we rarely have time, like as I call it, quality time. We were barely on our phones, which is a lot for us, because we're, you know, we just decided to spend time and get to know each other, which is such a great privilege for me. I don't know about you, but I know that for me it's great. And we were exchanging on how it feels, you know, what we do for a living. And I did share that the minute that I was introduced to M&M and direct sales, my first my first encounter with this industry was with direct sales. And I think that a lot of people know that I have worked with Mary Kay Cosmetics for many years, and it has shaped me into, you know, the leader that I am today. And I was telling Calvin that my biggest paycheck, the minute that I found my purpose, the minute I was introduced to this world, and I was able to give my talents, my empathy, my sympathy, my understanding of the industry, and that I found that difference that I can make. This is where I found my way, and this is where, you know, for me, I was telling him, if I see people grow, if people get to achieve a trip, if people get in a car, we used to have a car program, if, you know, we have conversations and we make an action plan, and then all of a sudden I see you on stage able to achieve what we have already talked about, it literally makes me cry. It makes me cry of happiness, and there's no paycheck that will do that to you when you know what your purpose is. So I know that my perspective on what you said is just as good on the corporate side. We're here to make a difference for you. You know, you do it amongst yourself and you go do what you do best, and our job is to support you. And when we're able to do that and see you grow and make a difference in your life, whether it's with more money or with a better health or whatever it is, it's gratifying for us as well. Okay, so that was my 2 cents about this. Now, Calvin, I feel like we're in a game show, you know? I'm Ellen DeGeneres. Somebody told me this today. He goes, you sit there like Ellen DeGeneres. I will say yes to that for sure. You have moved up quite a few ranks in this company, in the previous company as well, but at Jeunesse, you're a double diamond. This is big, this is huge, and we all witness how hard you work. Now, you know, we often see people and we meet them when they're at the top of the mountain, but I think that often we slip, you know, before we get to, but a lot of people don't see that. They see the results and they can't sometimes relate to the reality of going up. So I would like for you to share, you know, moments during that ascension where you may have had doubts or challenges or moments where, you know, where you felt that maybe you were not going to make it and then you did make it. And what was that, you know, what was that feeling and how did you overcome that?
Great question.
I got that, eh?
You're great. Well, I don't think that you could ever have any type of meeting or conference with successful people sitting at the front that don't have stories like that.
That's true.
You know, so I think that every successful person gets to where they are in life because of all the obstacles and challenges and adversities they had to overcome. That's, I think, part of the definition of success is adding those variables together to equal the success at the end. And most people just aren't willing to face a challenge or overcome adversity, so they never quite get there. They quit just right before. You know, there's a book, 3 Feet from Gold, which is a great book, by the way, and it talks about how close we all are to success, but some of us just stop too early. You know?
What's the name of that book? Just in case you're interested.
3 Feet from Gold.
3 Feet from Gold.
3 Feet from Gold. And I don't want to tell you what the book's about because I really want you to get the book.
Well, you're 3 feet from gold. That's
You're right there. I'm giving it to you. But you know, network marketing for me, I knew that I was going to be successful because, you know, everything I've ever done in my life, I knew that success was a result of hard work, work ethic, sacrificing, failing many times over and over again, and learning from those failures, because that's the roadmap to success, is my failures.
Yeah.
I was introduced to somebody in this business that was that had some incredible goals, and he had big dreams, and I wanted to follow someone like that, but he didn't have the map for me. He had the excitement, which was what I wanted. He had that magnetic personality, which was I wanted to run with someone like that. But we had to figure out the roadmap on our own, okay? And the way that I figured out that roadmap was by trying everything, going out there and doing what the people said to do, going out there and doing the meetings, doing the events, doing the one-on-ones, introducing people and sharing the business to people, trying to handle their objections and overcome them. At the beginning, I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to overcome a question that someone had, or an obstacle maybe that they put in front of me. But I would go home and I would reimagine someone, presenting me with that challenge again, or that hard question that I couldn't overcome, and I'd have an answer written out for the next time they answered that question. But I'm just saying that every step I took was the result of 2 steps going backwards. Okay, and the last 13 years of my life in this business has just been a number of obstacles and challenges that I overcame in order to get to where I am today at Double Diamond in this company. And I know there will be many, many more challenges and obstacles that I overcome every week and every month to get to the next step. But a few of them I remember because when I travel around the world and I share my story, some people just want me to share the story of how I've had to rebuild my business more than once in network marketing. And it wasn't something that was a surprise to me or should be a surprise to any of you guys, because in any business you start, you're gonna have to rebuild it over and over again. But just remember, it can only get stronger. It's not gonna get weaker, okay? Because you have these experiences that teach you things to avoid in the future, but you're gonna come to other obstacles. And I remember my first challenge and obstacle was when I started network marketing, I relied on my sponsor, okay? I edified him like crazy because we're taught to edify people in our upline, but I think I over-edified him and I put less focus on myself, and I didn't project myself as a leader for my team because I was focused on edifying that person. And there came a day where that person's ego outgrew himself. And he thought that the same success he can create at this company or the company we're in, he could recreate somewhere else. He thought it was that easy, okay? Sometimes you have to remember that you're in the right place at the right time, for the right reason, with the right people and the right products. You can't always recreate it somewhere else, okay? So if you're at the right place, just stay focused and stay committed and stay consistent and persistent. But he had left, and I remember he told me, if you don't follow me to the next company, I'm gonna take the entire team. And I was devastated because those were my friends, those were my people, I cared about these people, and in the end they followed him because I put all the focus on him, all the trust in him. And I remember thinking, I'm gonna have to follow this guy now. And today she's my wife, but then she was my girlfriend. I remember telling her I have to follow him to this company, and she made me remember of every reason why I was in the company I was in, the people that were a part of it, and the goals that I set beforehand. And she had me put faith in God, that He would answer everything, and there's a reason for everything. And I remember I did all those things, and I just focused, and I put my head down, and I rebuilt my business for the next 2 years to get back to where I was at that point. And I didn't think twice about it. I just went for it, and I rebuilt my business. So I proved to myself I could recreate anything. I just go back to work, and I can build it again, but I built it stronger. And I remember I started to focus on, like I told you guys before, building my business with people that didn't just look like me. I built it with every type of person because I wanted to watch my business spread throughout the world, okay? And that's exactly what happened. And I remember with that company, I didn't know that the problems that company was having financially. And they tried to relaunch a new brand from their existing company, and they wanted me to be the face of it. And I was focused on the existing brand they had. But because they put so much trust in me, I'm all about, one of my biggest things that I enjoy in life is impressing people, especially that put trust in me. And I wanted to impress my company and get them back to where they wanted to get to. And I took advantage of that opportunity, and I launched this brand for them. And I built this brand in a really big way, and I built a whole new business again. And unfortunately, that wasn't enough for the company to stay in existence. And Jeunesse saved the day because they bought that company that I was a part of. And Jeunesse bought that company I was a part of, and what happened was, just because they bought the company didn't mean that I was going to have my entire team intact, because the people were loyal to our previous company, and that was what they loved, and that's where they saw themselves forever, so they didn't all follow. So when I became a part of Jeunesse, I had to fall in love with this company. And I remember falling in love with this company, going to a Discover Jeunesse event, where I met the founders. I heard the stories of Wendy Lewis and Randy Ray, and I met their son Scott Lewis, who's the same exact age as me, and I thought of him as a brother or a friend, you know, and someone who would one day have the baton handed to him, and could he do what his parents are doing, you know? And I remember just hearing the story of Randy, how he came from humble beginnings, and I remember listening to Wendy and how incredibly smart she is, and why this company is where it's at today, an incredible female CEO. And then I met Scott Lewis, and I just remembered how well-spoken he was when I had this meeting with him. And I just saw the global platform that he had put this company on in only a matter of a few years, in more than 150 countries around the world, and I just envisioned my business getting even bigger, you know, with or without the existing team that I had. And I said yes to Jeunesse, and I put my head down and went to work again, you know, over the last 4 or 5 years, and I built my business probably 20 to 25 times bigger than my last business. And I think that in life, it's not about thinking about the negative experiences that you come into contact with. I think you should embrace every challenge, every obstacle, every adversity, because if you face those challenges head on and you come out of the other end successful, and you face those challenges head on later in life and you come out the other end successful, later when you face adversities and challenges, you'll realize that it's a blessing in disguise. Every adversity I've ever been faced with, at the end of the day, my life has turned out better. So it's all in the way that you look at things and the way that you see things. But in response to your question, my story in network marketing has been about a number of challenges and obstacles, but overcoming those in the end to get to where I am today. But it doesn't matter whether it was network marketing or starting my own business outside in the traditional business world. If I want to be successful, I have to be willing to fail, but I have to be willing to face any challenge head on and work hard to overcome it.
Oh my God, I could just sit here for hours, guys. This is fascinating. That's why I love our industry. So basically what I take from this is that you are strong enough to change your mindset when it's time. And that's the hardest thing, guys. You know, when something is going wrong, or you're not in a good place, and someone will tell you, well, you know, see the positive and be positive, and you just want to scream, right? Because you're just not in a good place. But the strength, you find it in your mind, where you're able to put yourself back in a good place. And we've all done it. I've done it. We've all done it.
Sure.
And it hurts, but it feels good at the same time. And the other thing is that, you know, you mentioned that, and I've always heard this until I really lived it, but behind adversity is always an opportunity. And sometimes we see it, and sometimes we don't, and sometimes we don't need to see it. You know, there's the adversity, and something negative happens, and it has to run its course and just, you know, not be a good thing. But a lot of times, I'm telling you, a lot of times when something does not happen, we want something, and if it doesn't happen, you want to sponsor somebody, and you think that person is amazing, and that person ends up not signing with you, or I know this is your world, right? But often down the road, and it could take a year or 5 years, and that person turns out to be a crazy, or because there's a few out there, and or that person turns out to be something that you don't enjoy, or that, you know, and you're like, isn't that a good thing that it did not happen?
That's when I realized everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason. The good, the bad, the ugly, and, you know, I think that everything is meant to be. What matters the most, what you're saying, is that you need to keep you're driving that bus. You keep the wheel and learn and you know, and I wouldn't say enjoy your failures, but certainly embrace them and learn from them. Because I think that we're all built that same way, where I know personally, if something happens to me and I'm like, you know, why did this happen? The first thing that comes to my mind is always, I have to learn something from this. What is it that I have to learn? First of all, it defocuses you from the bad thing, and it realigns you into, okay, maybe I do have something to learn from this, and then it just makes you accept whatever is not pleasant at the time. So thank you so much for your answer. Are you guys having a good time? Yes. Are we not just lucky? We're in a small room. Yeah, it's just us. I feel like we're sitting in the living room with these two amazing individuals with years of experience behind them, right? And so now, Christian, you did touch earlier on the fact that you have been exposed to MLM for a long time, and different companies and different experiences. And so that's a world that you know very well. Now, what I want to ask you is, what is your favorite thing from this world? Because, you know, we all know what we like the best from this industry, and some people, believe it or not, don't even know it exists. There are people that you can talk to outside the door here that don't even know that the direct sales or the MLM industry is a world. It is a world, it's a planet, you know, and we're lucky enough to know about that planet. So let us know, you know, what you love the most about this industry.
Thank you. Let me just start by saying, and then it will lead into this, but I was always an extremely shy kid. No friends, hermit. I would always do things on my own. I was always better alone. I remember one day we had this assignment in class and I had to work with two other students. And I remember going to the teacher and begged. I said, I will do better if I do it alone. And he finally let me do the assignment alone, and it was probably better. But that's not the point. It is when I entered into MLM from the corporate side. I was in my late 20s, and I still was thinking that if I do it alone, it's going to be better. It's a little bit presumptuous and arrogant, but hey, I was young. And then I remember that the owner of the MLM at the time was telling me, he said, Christian, he said, you have no other choice. This world is made of people. It has to be through the people. And I just thought, he didn't get it. He's not me. And then I discovered that, no, this is a world made by people, and that industry very rapidly changed me to realize it's not about being better. We are together. It goes through the people. And it has to be through the people. So it really brought me to more than realize and understand, but very deeply today, I will never do anything alone, because if you do something alone, what does it mean? It means nothing, because its application has to involve people. So to learn the teamwork, and to me, that's the flip side of what I like the most in this industry. For somebody who came from a place of being really alone, to realize that it is a people's business. I mean, I know that I look social when I talk like this to people, but I'm not very social. I'm a very shy, I was at least. And so what I've really discovered and I love in this industry is that it is through people. It is a business industry. It is a business activity. It is through people. And that's where, to me, Jeunesse is so strong, because like you mentioned, and I've mentioned before, I started in 1994 in my first MLM, and I've seen it always from the corporate side. And I have learned things that may look like completely, I wouldn't say completely, but somewhat irrelevant or very secondary, and yet to me they are the heart of a success. I have seen great products not being successful because of the people who were behind it. So a good product doesn't mean that it's going to be successful. You need a good business behind a good product. If you have a good business that has great logistics, that is great at paying checks, well, an MLM is not a shipping business and it's not a finance business. It's a marketing business. So there's a lot of things behind a company. And to me, what I've discovered is that first you need to have owners and people at the top who understand that it's a people's business. You're not successful because your product is delivered in time. You have to, but that's not what makes you successful. You're successful when people are happy sharing the product, when people are excited sharing the product, when the complement fosters sharing the opportunity, when the events bring people together, when everything brings people together. So, and hence, the core of what we are as human beings, which is sharing and being together. To me, These are the key aspects of a successful company. A company that is honest, meaning they tell you what it is, even if the news is not necessarily nice, let's say what it is. You guys are adults out there. If you're treating that kid, it doesn't work. So when you start to see, and when I started to see the way that Jeunesse was managing its business, even though at times we may see one thing or two that is not the way we would like, this is fine, because at the end, the strength and longevity of an MLM company is how it treats its people, how it loves the people. I've been in meetings with Wendy, and I mean, we're talking about something that was, to me, very important. But a phone call comes, and then she picks up the call, and you just hear in the voice, she was so happy. So a distributor had just signed up a new person. And, oh, I'm so happy. And then she gets into the discussion of being so genuinely happy because a distributor just signed up a new person. And here we're talking about a multi-million-dollar project, but that was more important. And at first you look at it and you think it's misplaced, and then very quickly you realize, no, these guys know what they're doing. It's genuine. The genuineness of it is priceless in this business. So I'm telling you, I've seen many companies that look successful, but these pieces were missing, and these companies have come and gone. And so you may question sometimes if you're with the right company. I'm telling you, you're with the company that has the right, it's hard at the right place, and it's there for the long term.
Thank you, Christian. So my takeaway here is that it's about the people. I think that this industry is about the people, and what it tells me is, can you believe how powerful we are just sharing what we love and what we know amongst each other? We often, and I think that when we present the company the opportunity tomorrow, we talk about it where we say, if you go see a movie that you like, or if you go to a restaurant that you like, or whatever it is that you like, you want everyone to know about it, right? And just up recently, I discovered a dollar store that to me felt like an actual store. And I already told 3 people about it. I only went there once, and it was like a luxurious dollar store. You walk in there, and there's decoration things, and I got so excited, and I was there for, my son's birthday card. And I went, oh, wow. Not only I went back today, but I already told 3 people about it, and I'm not paid by them. They don't know me. They just, and so this is how powerful this industry is. It's about the people, it's about sharing, and it's about, obviously, the right founders, the right products. Everything has to be a whole, and I understand why you have that much affection for this industry because of that. And the other thing that you said that made me think of that say is, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. It always stayed with me. I know it in French. Like, I don't know if it's a good translation how I said it, but in French is si tu veux aller vite, va tout seul. Si tu veux aller loin, on y va ensemble. Alors, and I was going to keep going in French. My brain goes, but especially if I look at you and I know you speak French, it doesn't help. But this is how we're built. This is why we like to come together. This is why I'm here with, I have to give a shout out to that wonderful person sitting here. He's fabulous. His name is Tony. He's our event manager. He's a friend, and he's someone that I work really closely with. And when we put these events together, we want to see you. We want you to come to our party. We want to see your face. We want to make sure you have everything you need. And so, again, it's about the people. And so it's just that, we like to welcome you to our events. Job, by the way. Well, thank you. It's small, but it's very intense. Okay, so thank you. Okay, back to you, Calvin. It's me, Ellen. Because you have grown to be a successful leader, and I think that leaders are not born, they are made, and you choose to become a leader. You choose to be someone that people look up to, and so you have made that choice when you were younger. We were talking today about how you literally built yourself. He's such a go-getter, And I wish my kids to be like you, and to have that fiber in you, that little fire that makes you want to be someone. You just want to be someone, and I felt that's how you were when you were younger. And so what is, with all these years that you have behind you and the levels that you're at, what is the definition, according to you, of leadership? And how do you apply that in your day-to-day as a father, as a husband, as a leader? How do you apply that?
Okay, great question. Thank you for all the edification, by the way. I
No, but
appreciate
it's
that.
true. Like it's,
Christian, when he was speaking about his own personal story as a young person, wanting to do everything on his own and be independent and being a shy person, I think of myself in a lot of ways just like you when I was younger. Even today, I'm an introverted person. I don't just walk up to people. People think because I'm so successful and because of your success, they think that we're just these outgoing personalities and we can go speak to everybody. And the reason I'm a double diamond is because I sponsor the world and I can talk to everybody about Jeunesse. I've never done that ever in network marketing, okay? I'm still the introvert I've been my entire life. And of course up here, I'm in my own world right now. And because you guys know about my success and who I am, I'm not shy because I feel like we're a family. That's how I feel. We're in each other's world right now, so I can be myself. But outside, it's a whole different planet to me. The strangers are everywhere, and they don't know me, and I'm a shy person. But when I'm introduced to people by the right people in the right way, and I get to know somebody, then my real personality can come out. And when given the opportunity, I could share my business or share my story or give a solution to someone's problem with my business or my products. And that's what makes me successful, okay? But when I first started network marketing, a lot of those things that were in me as a child, just like Christian talked about, is how I built my business. When I was younger, when we had projects, I never asked the teacher if I can work alone. That's what I wanted to do. But when I'd have a team, I'd tell them, hey, you guys don't have to do anything. I'm gonna do it all. We're gonna get a perfect score. And they'd be like, deal, we're in, And I'd take it home, I'd do the drawings, I'd do the research, I'd write the paper, I'd do everything, and then I'd meet with them before the project was due, before we had to do the presentation, and I'd fill them in on what it is and what your part's gonna be and what your part, and they'd say, okay, and we do it, and we get a great grade on it,
Yeah.
And that helped me get through a lot of my life, but in network marketing, it didn't get me to where I am today. When I started network marketing, I did take those same exact things that I had as a kid, and I built my initial network marketing business. And I became very successful my first year of network marketing, but I did everything on my own. I did everything alone. I did all the meetings. I did all the one-on-ones. I did all the trainings. I told people, if you have anyone to talk to, I'll be there for you. I'll get on the phone. Once the team was building, I did all the trainings. I didn't let anyone do a meeting on their own because I thought they would mess it up. And I could do it better that way. And that worked, but all of my time was gone. Okay? I had no life. I was successful in network marketing in my first year, but I had no life, and the people were not developed. There were no leaders. They had their ranks, they had their titles, but they had nothing. They had no substance. They had no value. And the minute I walked away from my network marketing business was the minute everything fell apart. Okay? That was one part of my story I didn't tell you about rebuilding. And I didn't empower the people. I didn't develop the people. I didn't serve them in the right way. And I did everything for them because my entire life I thought that's how it works. That's how we get to success. And when I realized the converse, having people develop themselves, pushing people in the right direction and letting them fly out of the nest, just serving people who want to be served, and letting people develop themselves, and then leading by example, teaching them by doing, not by doing it for them. Then I realized real success in network marketing, what real leadership was. Okay, real leadership isn't about being the leader, right? Real leadership is about developing a group of leaders. Okay, and that's exactly what I didn't have, but I went and rebuilt my business the right way. And I remember helping people when I rebuilt my business again for the first 3 or 4 weeks. And I'd be there to serve them. I would show them how to do a one-on-one. I would do their first 2 or 3 meetings for them, but then I would make them do it on their own. And of course they would be scared, and I'd be scared if they were going to do it the right way. But I started to realize that the guests in the room had no idea the information that would be given tonight, and whatever information was given was good enough. And the people who were looking, they were going to get started. The people who were not looking were not going to get started anyways, regardless of who did it. But the most important part was the people practice. They applied their knowledge and developed their skill sets. And I started to realize that I was developing leaders. And when I developed people, they became leaders. That was what real leadership was about. And what I also realized was that the real big gift that you can give a team or that you give people is service. And I started to really develop the importance of servant-driven leadership. I started to offer myself to my team. You know, what can I do for you today? How can I help you? Is there anybody on your team that I can help? Teach them anything? Is there anywhere I can go, fly, travel to do an event for? And I would servant-driven leadership was a big part of how I built a successful team that trusted me and wanted to stay with me forever. Still today, to this day, of course, I sponsor people, I enroll people, I develop people, but I travel around the world not because I have to, but because I want to. I travel around the world to serve my team. I travel around the world and do events and trainings just to show my team that I care. I don't want to be the double diamond sitting at home collecting a paycheck every week from all of their hard work. I want them to know that I'm always reaching out to them and letting them know when are you doing your next event that I can be at? When can I jump on a Zoom call? When can I do a training for you on a Saturday morning? I want them to know I'm there, and it's being in service for my team that keeps them there forever. Yeah. And then leading by example, okay? Many leaders get up on stage and they teach their teams everything you need to know about being a network marketer. They teach all the things that are written in the book, GoPro and the 7 steps, and all these things you can learn. But the real teaching comes from the doing, right? In any business or any industry, people think that people listen with their ears. And what I've realized is that people listen with their eyes. They're watching what you do. You can give them a training 10 hours long, but they don't do anything until they actually see you doing that. And they follow with their eyes, they listen with their eyes. So I know that if I want my team to do anything, I need to do it myself. And the minute that I sit and watch my back office, or I log into my reports and I see nothing going on, is the same moment I realize I'm not doing anything. My business is a direct reflection of me. So if I want my team to be bigger next quarter than it was this quarter, I need to do more things next quarter than I did this quarter. I need to be sponsoring people. I need to be doing the events, doing the meetings. I need to be sharing my successes with my team, because that's how they learn that it's possible. That's how they learn how to do what you're teaching at those trainings. So all the knowledge I could give you guys today and tomorrow is going to be great, but and it's going to be great for your team that you invite here, but unless you apply that knowledge, your team's never going to do it. So I always practice what I preach, and I want my team to know that about me. I'm not just someone on stage that just speaks everything else every other successful network marketer speaks about every time they're on stage, but I'm actually someone that applies it. I'm actually someone that does it. Because when I'm speaking into your lives, I want it to be something that causes you to go take action. And then I want, when I leave here, for you guys to continue to follow me on my journey in this business and to see, wow, everything Calvin taught us that day, whatever it was, he's doing every day. He's doing every month. He continues to grow in this company. He's on all the free trips. Look at all the new leaders he's brought into this business this year. Look at all these people that he enrolled 2 or 3 years ago. Now they're on stage as diamonds speaking to our teams. That's real leadership. Being in service, developing people, and then leading by example.
There's one thing that Calvin said that may sort of go unnoticed, and to me, overall, I've never been in the field, but I've made many friends. And you ask what to me is the most important in MLM? The number of friends that I have. Almost all my friends are people I would have never encountered alone in my room, for sure, to start. But anywhere that is my sort of where I live my life, I would have never met these people. And they have become, so they have enriched my life so much. So to me, personally, the best of this business is the people that you meet. But you said something that can easily go unnoticed, and I just want to re-emphasize it. When you said you were doing this all alone, in the sense that you were doing everything, the call, the presentation. I mean, you were like a one-man show. And if there's something that I have learned in MLM just by observing people in the field, and I'll talk about it by taking the example of a good friend of mine called Tony. In the first company that I was, Tony was a photographer for Vogue magazine, and he traveled for a few years with the Rolling Stone, so a long time ago. But he was like top photographer, and he was also an expert magician, professional magician, fantastic magician. So he had a really good presence with stories and everything. And he built his business by traveling to meet his teams, organizing event, and he would give the whole thing up front at an event. And after a few years of developing his business, he was exhausted because the growth of his business depended upon him going on the stage at an event, because everybody in his team had built their business by bringing people to Tony's events. He was exhausted, and everybody was calling, call me. He would give his phone number on the screen, call me if you have any question. 24 hours a day, the guy was exhausted. So he stopped that business, he started another business. He was very successful at the time. We're talking 20 years ago, maybe $100,000 a month. Successful. But he quit, and then he started with another company, but that time, he did not do anything himself. All he did was to use the tools of the company,
Yes.
the video of the company, the PowerPoint of the company, everything that was the company, he would refer people to these tools. And that way, after he helped develop 2-3 levels, the whole machine developed itself. And now he had what this business promises, freedom. So I mean, to me, if I go in the field, it's one of the greatest lessons that I've learned. And you are lucky because you're with a company that understands that. I mean, you go on your phone with that app, you know, and you want to talk about a product, you've got like 15 videos,
Exactly,
you've got them about the business, I mean, you have so many tools that you can use to do the job for you, so the person that you just brought in, they know that to talk to somebody, they don't have to speak well, they don't have to know everything, they don't need anything. All they have to do, they take their phone and they show the video. Man, the power of this is unbelievable. And the trap that we often fall into at first is that we just want to be great.
Yeah.
We just want, I'm special. So I really want to be like seen as the top of my organization. But then you turn yourself into a slave to your organization. So you learn it, you change it. This is nuggets, like this is gold.
Thank you, that's perfect.
I feel the very same way, and when you understand that you're the messenger and not the message, it changes everything, because you use the tools, and because the goal is to duplicate everything you're doing. So if you do it great and you're bigger, better, and you know, it makes it unachievable for some other people. So you're killing your own goal, you know, and so it's so true. And the one thing that you said also is that, you know, you do everything that you teach, and you're out there and you lead by example. And there's nothing more inspiring than following someone who's doing it. And just as an example, you remember when we were kids and we had to do the gym class? And you know, it's more inspiring if your teacher runs around with you than just tells you. I hated the whole thing, by the way, but that's beside the point. You know, my son tells me, oh, I'm so excited today, I have gym, and I'm like, oh, are you really my son? But the point is that if the teacher runs with his students, the students are happy to run, and that's the same thing in this industry, or any leader. You know, if you're willing to do it, and they see you do it, they will want to do it because they know that it's still fun to do it even when you're at the top, right? So it's a great message that you get to send. So we are pretty much done. This time goes so fast because it's fascinating. We feel like we're in our living room, and we don't want to keep you too late because we're starting early tomorrow. But Tony, would you like it if we took one question?
Yes, just one.
Okay, just one? Okay, so you will be the microphone liaison.
Right.
Okay, and so if one of you has a question for one of our guests here, please speak now.
Not a testimony, a question. Just
Yes,
kidding.
not a testimony, not a story, but a question.
That was what you told me last time, right?
Yes, ma'am. Anybody?
Somebody has a good question.
Okay, one question.
I have a question: is why the choice the Genes? If you never do any experience about the direct sale area experience, if your choice of one company you will to do, why Genes is the best
Good
one
question.
in the world?
I get that a lot. Good question. Okay, so why Jeunesse of all companies, right? So I spoke earlier about me coming from another company to Jeunesse, okay? And Jeunesse buying my previous company. And I had a choice. I could go to any company because I'd already developed value in myself as a leader in this industry. Other companies knew who I was. I could have walked into another company, into a good position to start my business, right? But I still chose Jeunesse. And for me, I still had to go see who Jeunesse was as a company. That's why I attended Discover Jeunesse. I wanted to discover what was it about Jeunesse that attracted so many people. It was such a young company. How is it so successful to do more than $1 billion in sales per year in such a short span of time? The company today is only 10 years old.
10 years old.
10 years old, okay? It's so young now. But doing things that companies who are 50, 100 years old are doing, okay? So why Jeunesse? For me, I wanted to make sure that, for me it was about not just the products at first. The products were one of the main reasons, but I wanted to know the people behind the company because I wanted to be a part of a company that was going to be here for the long run. Because for me, building my business isn't just about what it provides me and my family today, but it's about what will provide my family when I'm gone one day. I want this to be a legacy company. I want it to be something I can give to my children. My children watch everything that I do today. They watch me traveling around the world. They know that I'm here. They're excited for me. They want to see the pictures. They see how many people write me all the time and tell me about how it changed their life. People that share with me their testimonies of the products. They enjoy me getting enjoyment out of what I do for a living. And they want to do what I do one day. And so I want this to be a business that I hand to my kids one day. You know, and that's what Jeunesse is. But the founders, I don't know if this is working right now.
Yeah, the batteries.
But the founders, so hopefully they can hear me. The founders of the company, I told you their story and how they have such big hearts. That's what attracted me to Jeunesse to begin with. Are you getting the translation still?
Just no battery.
I know, but are they still able to translate or they can't hear?
They cannot hear.
Oh, they cannot hear. Okay.
Okay, just.
It's okay, we'll get it doing. I want to make sure that I stop until.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm doing this right. I'm gonna.
That's how you know how much time is.
Yeah.
When the mic runs out?
Well, while you're doing this, you may not need translation for that, but tomorrow we open the doors at 9 a.m. Okay, and we start at 9:30 sharp. We are starting on time. So if you're here by 8:30, 9 o'clock, at 9 o'clock we're gonna open the doors. You can grab your seats. We have limited seating. We have 120 spots, pretty much, 110. So make sure you're here early, okay? 1, 2, 3, Elvis. Elvis is not available.
Communication.
Ah, here we go.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Give him a big round of applause.
Thank you. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so the founders, their story, the hearts of these people told me that this company was going to be here for a long time. Okay, they had their values and they had all their objectives in the right place, so I knew this was going to be a company that would last a lifetime, like other very successful network marketing companies that have been here for a long time, right? And then I saw the global platform that this company was on in more than 150 countries. I could literally go share this business, share the products with people anywhere I go, and most likely, if they say, is your company open here for business? I can say yes, right? The majority of the time. Actually, I've never ever had to say no. So I've been fortunate in that regard. And then finally, they were products that fit my lifestyle, my wife's lifestyle, my friends' lifestyles. These are products that I can go to at any time of the day, whether it's in my refrigerator or my pantry, and it'd be something that I grab to use myself, right? Whether it's taking a reserve in the morning, putting a couple of them in my kids' lunch because they love the reserve, okay? Or even drinking the Monavie, you know? To using the skincare regimen that my wife and I use every single day, whether it's the Youth Restoring Cleanser in the shower, the serum, the night cream, that's a part of our daily regimen. To taking the Revita Blue, 2 or 3 water bottles a day, and we're drinking the water, just putting the Revita Blue in it because we know what it's doing for us. Taking the AM in the morning, the PM at night. These are things that we can do naturally throughout the day. And these are products that our company can fulfill for us. But the company has such an array of products that no matter who I talk to about the business or about the products, there's something that will work for them. When I do my meetings or when I do my events, whether it's in my home or whether it's in someone else's home or at someone's office, and I share with them the Jeunesse story and I share with them the youth enhancement system, they don't all go crazy for all of the products, but 100% of them find at least one product that fits their lifestyle. They can see themselves doing the business, but using a product that they already use. There's something in their home that they use that's similar to this, and they can say, forget that, I'm going to use this product because it's a lot better, and I can build a business with this. Or I can build a business and this will be the expense. So I'm just saying that Jeunesse is that company that is very rare that you find in the world that you could say, man, I could build a business not with just a niche of people, but this is a business I could take around the world. So that's why Jeunesse.
Wow. That was great. So I'm just going to stand here. Oh, I see more people. Okay, so we wanted to thank you for being here tonight. You chose to be with us. You could have done a million other things, and you chose to spend your evening with us. We're thrilled, we're blessed, we're delighted, and because we had one person that was brave enough to ask a question tonight, and because we have the creator of an amazing product, Tony and I thought that it'd be a great idea to give you, sir, a box of Revita Blue. And so we will see you bright and early in the morning. We have a great training. We have great presentations. I personally, on the corporate side, have great promotions to talk to you about. Product promotions, sponsoring promotions, money-making promotions, and we know you love that. So we will see you bright and early. Until then, be careful on the road, and we'll see you in the morning.
Thank you guys.